everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Kinky Politics. I am your host, Kai, along with
Jordan, your other host.
Woohoo! And we are back. And today's topic is, oops, I forgot.
Hotel adventures.
Thank you. I don't know why I forgot the topic after I just said it off camera. Anyway, hotel adventures. So last we were on the show, Jordan and I briefly had a conversation about, we were doing, I was asking Jordan a bunch of would you rather questions. And the last question was, would you rather go to a luxury hotel and spend the night, or would you rather instead stay at a campground or something, looking at a beautiful sunset or something like that? And obviously, Jordan chose the luxury hotel room. And tell us, dear Jordan, why?
There's a couple reasons that I would choose a luxury hotel. First is the room itself. I mean, my favorite thing when I go to hotels is the tubs. And I know that sounds funny, but I love a good big hot bath. Like a big hot bubble bath is my jam. I love bubble baths in big jacuzzi tubs. So like I will spend extra money on a hotel room that has a tub over a hotel room that has a view 100% of the time. So that's one reason. I love the tubs. Two, I mean, to go to a place where you can make a mess, get it all dirty, mess up everything, and then just leave. I love that. I love that I can just like do whatever. Now I'm a pretty good guest. I will say that. I try not to, leave any bodies or anything behind in the hotel. And then lastly, I mean, if you want to have a good time with your significant other and get as messy and wild and weird and dirty as you want, and then leave it all behind, a luxury hotel is the thing for you, my friend. Do you have experience with that too?
Yes. I used to work front desk at a couple different Holiday Inns. So when I was in high school, I used to work at a Holiday Inn, and then when I was in college at Purdue, I worked at the Holiday Inn in the City Circle. And so I have lots and lots and lots of experience with guests who would come in and, use the hotel for a day, an hour, 30 minutes.
15 minutes.
You know what I mean? And, I've got, I have stories of just these stories of,
Hit me with it. Hit me with, I want the weirdest story that you've experienced in a hotel.
Honestly, because I worked front desk, most of my interaction is just dealing with, disgruntled people. I hate working in hospitality. I just like also working in customer service, which is funny because I'm a teacher and I feel like that's a service job, but whatever. So I often dealt with one time, off topic, but I'll just tell really briefly. One time there was this woman who came in and I could see she was, balding, and I had a feeling she was probably sick. And I was helping my friend learn the computers. So he was brand new and, trying to understand just the, processes and things like that. And he was an amazing staff person as well. And this woman just gave it to him, was like, why are you so slow? What's happening? Where's my hotel room? When are you giving me the keys? What's your problem? And finally, and I could see he kept answering in these wonderful ways, like, so sorry, ma'am, like I'm still learning. I just started. And he was so honest and so vulnerable. And I was like, it'll just be a moment, like he's still in training and I'm sorry, but we just have to do this. And I was, just acting like your typical bitch because I was used to it. Even if, man, the way people can treat you is really hard. So I had to develop a little bit of a thicker skin working there. But he said, eventually he said, ma'am, and his face got so red. He said, ma'am, I'm doing the best I can. I'm doing the best I can. And this woman goes, I have cancer. And I know. I shouldn't have laughed, but I laughed. And it was an awful moment in my reflection of, you know what I mean? In my time, in my life. Like I felt like,
but what a thing to declare at someone, just to be like, I don't like what you're doing. I have cancer. It's like, clearly we feel bad that you have cancer. Like, obviously. But like to use it as like a tool against someone, like in customer service. Oh my Lord. I mean, I can't be surprised, but.
And at that time, like I was thinking to myself when she said that, because she had been so mean, I thought it was a lie. Like I thought like, bitch, you just said that because like you're a bitch and, but, upon reflection, you know what I mean? Like she's balding. So it's like, why didn't I just be like, ma'am, I'm sorry. That's not an excuse. We're doing the best. I should have handled it better, but I laughed. And it was after that. So anyway, it was terrible. It ended awful. She did have someone escort her to the room and, she got upgraded and all this kind of stuff. But
yeah,
it's a memory I never want to forget. Anyway, I never want to remember. Back to hotels. So yes, I think probably the most disgusting thing I've seen was, a cleaner had come down and was like, hey, you've got to check out this room. And like
it was just like, hey, come see this. Like, this is so weird. That's what it was.
Oh my God. She's like, you got to check out this room. And I'm like, okay. She's like, it was to that guy that you said that was a little bit weird that checked in at like 2 a.m. Because I had to stay this one night. I had to stay a little bit longer because like our night staff was late or something, and I can't really remember exactly what the reason was, but I had to stay a bit longer, which was unusual for me. So I never usually stay to the wee hours, but I did. And whenever that happens, you never know what to expect in the wee hours.
Weird stuff happens after midnight.
Yeah, exactly. So this guy came in, and probably in at the time maybe his mid 30s. And he looked all right, but
he looked like me. I'm mid 30s. I look all right. So someone like me walks in. What did someone like me say to you or do?
Yeah, he said he wanted a room for the night, and that was that. And I was like, okay. I'm like, cool, I can, do that. And checked him in. Everything was fine. And then, the next day I was working again. I was working in the afternoon, and that the cleaner was like, hey, you got to check out this room. Remember that guy that you checked in? And I was like, yeah. And she's like, come see this room. So I go upstairs and I take a look at the room. There's trash everywhere. There's powder on the floor.
Powder?
Powder. Powder.
Unidentified. Was it like a drink mix or was it like just a powder?
Honestly, it looked like cocaine. I assume it was cocaine just because of the way the place looked. The place was trash. There was like beer bottles everywhere. No, nothing. It didn't look like anything like heavy duty or anything, but like minus the cocaine. And the blinds were like ripped off. I'm like, what kind of animal monkey sex were you doing for the blinds to be ripped off? You know what I mean?
My Lord.
And towels in the bathtub, wet towels in the bathtub, and like, the place just in disarray. The beds like not out of the wall, but just like, like someone tried to pull them out of the wall. You know what I mean? Like it was just, I'd never seen anything like that, and it looked like it was out of the movie Hangover. Remember that movie?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Looked like
Just
one of those, but like it was
completely just trashed room.
yeah, it was in real life. And then I was asking the night shift later on that day when I got off, I was like, hey, do you know what time that guy checked out? And he was like, yeah, he checked out like an hour later.
So he came into that room to blow it up and then just left.
And then just left. And I have a feeling
Here,
probably brought some prostitutes or
had a crazy wild sex party and left.
and that I think it's really interesting. Like you're not alone, you're not alone with the whole you get to have good sex, at the hotels. Woohoo! I mean, I don't want to put them on blast, but I'm going to put them on blast because that's what I do. But my husband, he's he always looks forward to his birthday. Or huh?
I said, what happens on his birthday?
On his birthday, I usually like to get hotel rooms. And initially, I thought that the hotel room would be, just like a nice change of scenery.
A nice night. We're going to go to sleep, take a bath, take a big bubble bath, go to sleep.
No, but it's all of the, the nice intimacy,
Nice
that,
mm-hmm.
yeah, that is shared. But there really is something about going to a hotel room,
Mm-hmm.
not having to clean up. You're right. Not having to clean up.
It's like a feeling of luxury, not just to have a nice room and a place to do whatever you want and not be judged. Because sometimes it's weird. Like, okay, it's sometimes it can be weird, like being a parent, because the home doesn't always feel like a safe space to have sex. You know what I mean? So it's like a hotel. You can be as loud as you want. You can say whatever you want. You can get as messy as you want. You don't have to worry about like my wife's worst nightmare is we're having sex at our home and like in the doorway is like one or more of our kids just like that keeps her up at night.
I bet that would be my nightmare too.
I get it. But it's just like a hotel room. You don't have to worry. Like all the anxiety and fear just is gone. You can just do whatever. No judgment.
Yeah, but
doorway.
It's interesting because it's like we don't have kids. We live alone. It's just the two of us. So I'm just like, what's the problem? Like, we can get freaky as hell at our place. Why do we need like a hotel room? But I tell you what, somehow Kirk's a whole nother person at the hotel, and I'm just like, well, goddamn,
Mm-hmm. I think it also lends itself for like role play more too. If you want to do like, if I don't know if that's your thing, but like it lends itself to be in a space like that. And if you want to do role play of like, whatever your fantasy is, it's easier. Like it's like you have a set now, to use. And
that's true. I never thought about that. It's a completely different setting and it's so private.
It is.
And oh my God, now that you know what, I remember a time actually when Kirk and I had planned to get a hotel. We got a hotel and we were all like gearing up to like get ready to do, the do. And all of a sudden we heard someone else doing it and going at it. And I'm like, well, there's no way we can compete with that. I don't feel comfortable. I've got performance anxiety.
I love how immediately, because my wife would have the exact same thought. It would be like, oh, we have to compete with this now instead of let's just do our thing. Right. However we do it.
Right. And funny enough, Kirk was completely affected as well. He was like, oh, yeah, I don't know.
They did, but we want to be those people. Yeah. That was going to be my thing. Yeah.
Exactly. And and it was hard because we sat there and we're like, well, maybe it'll be over in a little bit. Let's give it like 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't. And a new girl came and we heard the interaction and then a new girl came. This was like 2 hours And
So
we
it was
were
like a
just,
swinger's delight, kind of like.
this was in California. This was in, no, this was in Los Angeles, in one of those like really cheap sort of, you can tell what type of person I am. Yikes. It was, you know, like it was a little cheap hotel. We were looking to save a few bucks, you know. And you know, I swear to God, I think it was just prostitutes that he just, because there was a meeting, you know, it was like, hey, how are you? Nice to meet you. Oh, okay.
Hey, Cindy, I saw you last week. How was Jake?
Yeah.
You know what? You know the other thing that hotels are good for besides sexy time is mischief. Like just good old fashioned mischief. And I'll tell you a little bit of mischief that I have experience with. So when I was in high school, we did a Europe trip, right? And I'd say probably like about a dozen students went on the trip, right? And I don't know if you know this about me, but I love pranks. I love
Yes, I do.
pranks on people. And so I decided to pull a prank on this Europe trip. And what happened was they decided to have like a party get together, like a gathering at their hotel room, right? And like all 12 people were crammed into this room. People were drinking because we were like 18 in Europe. So, you know, we wanted to drink and have fun. And I was really tired for the night. So I was like, you know, guys, this is fun, but I'm tired. I'm gonna go back to my room. So I go back to my room, and the funny thing about hotel room phones is that there's no identification on the number that's calling you, right? It's just like the shittiest phone you can get, right? It just tells you that it's ringing and you pick up. So I called the room of my friend, and we were in London at the time. And I called the room and I was like, sir, and this is a very awful accent. I haven't practiced my accent since I stopped acting like 10 years ago. Sir, we've had several complaints about your room and the noise level coming from your room. You must stop with this noise or you will have to stop your get together. Blah, 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 blah. So I do that. And then like I told you earlier, I love baths. So I made that call and I took a bath, and there was a phone close to the tub. So about 15 minutes later, while relaxed and reclined in my bath, I pick up the phone and I get on there again and I say, sir, this is the second time I'm calling your room. If I have to do it again, you'll have to come down to the desk to pay a fine for XYZ. And he's like, I'm so sorry. We'll be quiet. So another 15 minutes goes by. I get out of the bath, dry my body off, and pick up the phone again. And I say, sir, we've warned you. You need to come down to the front desk. My name is like Conor McGregor. Ask for me. Ask for Conor McGregor at the front desk.
Yeah.
So I run down to the lobby and I like hide behind this pillar, and I see my friend, and he walks down, and he's only 18 at the time, like 18 or 17. So like he's a kid going down to the desk. I think I was 16 at the time, 16 or 17. He's like white as a sheet, like shit in his pants, like, oh my God, I'm gonna get in trouble. They're gonna like send me home, blah, 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 blah. I'm gonna get in trouble with chaperones. And he goes to the desk and he's like, hi, I'm here to talk to Conor McGregor. And the person is just like, who? He's like, Conor McGregor. And I bust out laughing because there's like two of the front desk people are like looking at each other, like trying to figure out what's going on. And I bust out laughing, and he hears me and he turns and he's like, and he gets it, like he gets what happened, and he starts chasing me, and we're like running through this hotel. He didn't want to hurt me.
Oh.
We were friends. So I'll say that, but it's one of those memories that I'm always gonna remember, like hotel fun, hotel adventures. That was a good time.
There's just, wow, that's such a good story. And it's true. There's just so much that happens in hotel rooms that I think people wouldn't ordinarily do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and pranks is like the best to do at hotels. You know, pizza dialing someone or sending up bullshit to the room. You know, so, I get it. And it's like, I wonder what that says about how free we are.
Like at hotels?
No, I mean like how free we are as people in the world.
Mm-hmm.
How comfortable we are.
Do you mean because like we feel more free to do things at hotels, to have more wild sex or play pranks, like the mischievousness or like
We're much more
lizard part of our
playful.
brain is a little bit more activated at hotels?
Yeah.
And maybe it's just because it feels like there's less consequences or there's less
Judgment.
Yeah, where like you can just, it's sort of like playing a video game. You know, you play a video game and there's some video games like that are like simulations of life and you can do whatever you want, like Grand Theft Auto. You know, you can punch random people in the street and yeah, the cops will come eventually, but it's like a game. And I feel like it's like a mini version of that, like where there's just less consequences. You don't have to clean up. You can like pretend to be someone else while you're there, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, there are less consequences, but I tend to think that it's more around judgment, which is why, and I think it's more around judgment because it's not like we go there to do bad things. We go there to participate in fun. Like, you know what I mean? Like the things we want to do are fun.
Yeah, because like when you go to a hotel, most of the time it's to a wedding, on a vacation. It's fun, you're right. So it's like if your everyday life is boring or not fun and you go to a hotel, like there's sort of just this freedom, yeah, where you're just like, I can have fun. And whether that's sexy time or pranks or throwing a wild party with cocaine and whatever,
Like,
you know.
Exactly, throwing a wild pat. It's like when I go to a hotel, the likelihood is I'm gonna get really good sleep.
Mm.
And I probably will get better sleep than I do at my own home.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't help but think that that's associated with this feeling of freeness.
So you sleep better at hotels? Wow.
Than I do at my own home. I think I feel the pressure of the world around me in my day-to-day life. Mm-hmm. But somehow the context of a hotel room makes me think,
like relaxes you a little bit more.
Yeah, and no one is going to say anything to me about anything. And no one's going to know anything about anything. And so I'm just going to lay here and be lazy, or like not wipe my butt. I don't know.
I'm sorry, Kirk. If that's what she actually does, I apologize.
No, oh my God, no, I don't. But you know what I mean? Like, you might as well just have your thumb in your butt all day, and like, it's like, like it's interesting. Like even at home, if Kirk doesn't have a shirt on or his underwear on, I'm like, what's going on? Mm-hmm. I'm not like, oh, quickly change, but I'm just like, what's going on? What are we doing today? You know what I mean? Yeah. But in a hotel, if Kirk's walking around without his underwear or shirt on, I'm like, meh.
That's good. Normal. Yeah. No judgment from you to him. Yeah. Right. That's so funny. I don't sleep well in hotels usually. Man, the best place for me to sleep
is your bed.
I don't know what it is, if that's my safe place or what, but man, like whenever I get back, I went and visited my brother in March a few weeks ago, and I slept in a kid's bed for 2 or 3 nights, like because my nephews slept in their room, so I could have a place to sleep. They like insisted that I sleep in a bedroom. Yep. So I slept in like their bed, and I'm 6 feet, so I like barely fit in this bed, and it was the worst night's sleep, and not because of anything they did. It's just the bed. A kid's bed, you know, like the plastic, it's hard. It's just, they're not comfortable beds. They're more about utility. Like if they pee the bed, it's plastic, it's hard plastic, so it doesn't like soak the mattress, you know?
Yeah.
And then on the way back, I had a layover and had to sleep in a hotel. And sometimes hotel beds, they're either awesome or they're awful. There's like no in between. And this one was awful. It was like sleeping on like a pillow with no support. So like you get like an arch when you sleep. You're sleeping in an arch, you know what I mean? Like your spine, so you feel like compressed in the morning and like you just did a workout or something. Yeah, but man, this mattress, I don't know what it is, but it's like sleep dynamite. So good.
Yeah, you chose it. So that makes sense. I mean, Kirk is the same way too in a lot of respects. He doesn't get Kirk, my father, actually, most men that I know anyway, complain about hotel beds and the lack of sleep in hotels.
Yeah.
Whether that's good or bad, but you know what I mean? Like,
well, at your wedding, Kirk stayed at the hotel, right?
Yes.
Did he have a good experience there for the wedding or no?
He didn't mention the hotel beds being an issue. I blew up at him the night before our wedding, and so he didn't get any sleep. So that was a different reason. But
that's so funny.
Yeah, but I don't know.
Well, it's like now you have the dawn of Airbnb, you know, that's come out in the past 5 or 10 years, and people feel the same way. Like there's horror stories of like people who own a home or rent it out in Airbnb, and like I remember when it first was a thing, like people were throwing like huge sex parties, like destroying the property, 50 people over, bowls of condoms, like just like the grossest kind of party you can imagine. And I mean, fortunately Airbnb reimburses them, but yeah, I mean, it's the same deal where like you go to a new place. I would feel less comfortable at an Airbnb than a hotel, to be honest, because someone else's home, I just would feel like I'm in a stranger's home. Like when you did it, did you feel free in the Airbnb as you did in a hotel, or did it feel more like I'm in someone's house and I can't like mess it up?
That's exactly it. I felt like there would be consequences.
Yeah, and it's like I feel like I couldn't bring kids there because I'd be like, don't touch anything, don't touch it. You know, it would be much more anxiety inducing to be in a Airbnb than a hotel where I'm like,
yeah, you're right you're right and that consequence thing then does play a part, because I am a little bit like crazy, not crazy, but pedantic, I guess, about staying at Airbnbs. I'm always worried about like, oh, I want that person to give me a good review, like but yeah, it's interesting. I wonder if this is an American thing.
Like an American thing?
That people just kind of have wild nights. I bet you money, or wild adventures at hotels. I bet you money that in Europe, it's not that big of a deal.
Oh, I bet it's the exact same thing, because it's human nature. Yeah, it's human nature. Like the sex angle and like the mischief and like the parties. I mean,
but there's so much more freedom when it comes to sexuality.
I bet it's even worse in Europe. I bet it's worse.
Why do you think?
Because I feel like I mean, do you know a lot of people from Europe or yeah,
I do.
I just feel like it's more their bag.
I think they're open.
It's like Euro trash, like, you know, it's like the equivalent of like rednecks out here, something like, I don't know, you know what I mean? Where it's like, can you imagine what a hotel room must look like the night after?
I think because sex is more of an open thing culturally, and there are a lot more, you know, they're more lenient with things, you know, than we are with like prostitution or drugs. So there doesn't, I'm not saying like it's like this completely culturally acceptable to do those things, like have a lot of sex or have a lot of drugs in Europe, but I think it's more commonplace.
Mm.
And, you know, I've heard of those like sex shows in various places of Amsterdam.
You've heard of them? You've never been?
I've never been. I've never been. I do want to go. I do want to go. I would like to take a look and just see what's going on.
Take a little look-see. Little
peep. Like, this is the way the shows are going to go from now on. I think I'm going to be in trouble because, I feel like I'm just exposing a little too much that I anticipated. But hey, this
Kirk is going to be like, yeah, let's go next week.
Oh, goodness. But yeah, I feel because there's a bit more of a relaxed, I think, ideology with respect to those two areas.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's a need to want to go all out at a hotel when they could go all out anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
They could go all out in public. You know what I mean? Like, you know, and I mean, even in Australia, prostitution is legal, and they're a very conservative country, despite being socialist.
Yeah. That's a whole nother conversation we can have, sex workers, because man, just what's happened in the past 5 years with like online stuff, that might have to be something, a whole nother can of worms that we can open up and talk about. And that'd be a great one.
Yeah, we should. We definitely should. But yeah, like, you know, like I know of one, you know, prostitution area.
Prostitution zone.
yes. You know, I know of one place, and I know it because like it's got the notorious like open sign, you know, that's, you know, lit and
So is it like a hotel area?
No. It's on a busy intersection in the middle of the CBD.
And it's legal.
It's legal.
And what is the CBD?
CBD, the Central Business District.
Oh, funny.
In the middle of the city. And so you know, at that fucking 12 to 1 hour, you will see those men in business coats,
sunglasses, walking into the
you know, and it's like we all know what they're doing, and yet you know what I mean, like and it for me, I'm like, you know, I'm looking through the blinds like, do I know them? Oh my god, that's the guy at the bank, you know what I mean? And it's pathetic, but it's like everyone else seems to be like, yeah. So anyway, I'm sure we could have this conversation for a long time, but any final thoughts with respect to hotel adventures?
I'm pro hotel.
Good
pro
to
good
know.
Time hotel.
Good to note. Good to know. Would you like to sign us off, Jordan?
Yeah, it's been a pleasure to talk, and I hope you all enjoyed listening, and we will catch you next week with a new topic.
Oh my god, orange is not my new black.